Once again,
Welcome to our live stream.
stream. I hope today's content brings everyone a relaxing and enjoyable time.
Hello everyone, I'm your favorite handsome dog live streaming host, Simba.
Hi, I'm your live streaming host, Nico.
Today, let's talk about the Ming and Qing dynasties. How do women build themselves based on their Guanyin beliefs? Let's start with the gender transition of Guanyin, looking at women in the practice of faith, how to express yourself by imitating Guanyin, and the female subjectivity.
Interesting.
So let's get started. Let's start with the first topic. It is the gender transformation of Guanyin's image. Okay, I just want to ask, the image of Guanyin, what did it look like in India in the beginning? Why was Guanyin a male figure?
In fact, in the earliest Indian Buddhism, Guanyin was a very masculine, a god.
Oh, yes.
As far as her statues are concerned, they have a high nose bridge, and a beard, and a very muscular young prince. Yes, including in many classics. Guanyin's origin story is also a male.
Why was it designed like that?
This is related to the Indian society at that time. Imagination of ascetics and saviors is inseparable. As far as they think, only aristocratic men can achieve this highest level of enlightenment and save all sentient beings. So Guanyin was portrayed as such an image.
What kind of process did Guanyin go through to become the one we are familiar with now? Female image?
When Guanyin was first introduced to China 2,000 years ago, actually, it still retained the Indian male appearance. But in the Tang dynasty, it began to gradually become more gentle. Then it began to have some feminine features. In the Song dynasty, it had basically become a standard, the image of young women in China.
Was there any story behind this?
Yes, there are many folk legends involved. For example, the story of Princess Miaoshan is very, very popular. A young girl named Miaoshan sacrificed her eyes and hands to save her father's life. Her filial piety moved the deities, and she was transformed into the thousand-handed and thousand-eyed Guanyin. This culture of filial piety in China has gradually merged with the culture of Buddhist monastic practice, and the people's demand for having children and protecting the family. Slowly, Guanyin became a closer to the secular life in China, a kind and beautiful goddess.
So what is the reason? What prompts Guanyin in China transformed from a male to a female deity?
The most crucial factor is actually Chinese culture and compassion and maternal symbols to women. So Guanyin followed this tradition and gradually became a female image.
So the social environment has a great impact.
All right. For example, in the Tang dynasty, the status of women was elevated, and the royal family's promotion of Buddhism, and the Song dynasty's Confucian values that emphasizing family, and maternal love, plus the flexible incarnation of Guanyin, flexible statement, also allowed the common people could reshape the image of their beliefs. So, Guanyin has become a very localized, such a goddess.
Let's talk about the second part. How women in their religious practice create and imitate Guanyin to find themselves.
Well,
the first question is that women in the Ming and Qing dynasties, what specific ways to express their belief in Guanyin?
In fact, women at that time, they integrated their piety towards Guanyin into many daily details. For example, some ladies who were good at calligraphy and painting would draw Guanyin or embroider the image of Guanyin, and some people would embroider the image of Guanyin with their hair. Each one is very innovative.
It sounds like they really put a lot of emotion into it.
Yes, there are also some in dance, such as geisha, would dance the Guanyin dance, or in daily life. People will wear hairpins related to Guanyin, or dress up as Guanyin. Even some people like Cixi. She also takes pictures. It is to dress up as Guanyin to take pictures, is to distance yourself from this muse closer.
So, in the Ming and Qing dynasties, women, why they chose to express themselves through the belief, to express themselves.
In fact, at that time, women were bound by many Confucian rules. Then, they would put their ideal personality, or some emotions, on Guanyin, such as painting Guanyin, or embroidering Guanyin, which became, they are an outlet to release their inner self.
It feels like Guanyin is for them, is very significant.
Right, because Kuan Yin is not just a symbol of the Divine Mother, or a symbol of chastity. In fact, she also helps women, during some important life stages, relieve anxiety, and at the same time, it also allows them to gain a sense of identity as women, and spiritual strength, even with their own families, or with the society. When negotiating some things, Guanyin's beliefs have given them the courage to create and express themselves, and strategies.
If we look back now, Do you think that in the Ming and Qing dynasties, in the process of imitating and creating Guanyin, in the process of creating the image of Guanyin, what unique spirit and values?
In fact, I think it is them, whether through calligraphy and painting, or through embroidery, or through dance, or through wearing the images of Guanyin. They're all using it in a very artistic way to challenge some social restrictions on women at that time. And at the same time, in this process, they used their bodies and creativity beyond the real life to create a spiritual space of their own, and also made their self-worth and inner freedom to get a new expression and build up their self-identity through the artworks.
Let's move on to the third part, which is the topic we are going to talk about today, the profound meaning of faith. That is, through the practice of Guanyin belief, to what extent they achieved spiritual independence. Do you think the belief in Guanyin? What specific power did you give them to break through the constraints?
I think first of all, the belief in Guanyin, it allows women, in the face of many real hardships, have a spiritual sustenance, because Guanyin is a symbol of saving people from suffering, a symbol of salvation. Then women can repeat her name, or worship it, or even go on a pilgrimage, and so on. Come and talk to Guanyin. Talk to yourself. This kind of comfort can temporarily get rid of your daily troubles and pressures.
This spiritual support sounds very powerful.
Yes, that's right. And it is the ability of Guanyin to transform into any image at any time to save believers. Also makes women feel that they can overcome these gender limitations. You can pursue a more free and spiritual growth. This religious experience, it actually allows you to break away from your daily identity. Many women will participate in various religious ceremonies, or by fasting, or keeping the precepts and so on, to gain inner satisfaction and a new identity. That's actually for them a starting point for spiritual independence.
Do you think that in the Ming and Qing dynasties, in their daily lives and families, how did they use the belief in Guanyin to challenge some traditional ethical norms?
Well, in fact, at that time, women often painted Guanyin, embroidery the image of Guanyin, or even embroider the image of Guanyin with their hair, turning their future into an art. Then this is actually to keep them in the family, to gain some recognition, and also gave them some inner sustenance.
Well, for example, in marriage and family responsibilities, what impact does the belief in Guanyin have?
Yes, for example, some women, could she refuse marriage on the grounds of her belief in Guanyin? Then insist on practicing as a nun, as an example, to resist some family's pressure to marry her, and so on. And some people, will she be filial to herself, which was originally for their parents, through the transformation of the belief in Guanyin into a kind of self-cultivation, from passive filial piety into an active, a pursuit of their own spiritual growth. This is actually a challenge, a manifestation of traditional gender division.
That is, how does the belief in Guanyin and cultural creation, what new changes has it brought?
That is, the belief in Guanyin actually brings women into a new social circle. For example, there are Guanyin meetings, and then some other religious gatherings. It gives women a chance to meet publicly, communicate, and even travel together. And pilgrimage, this actually let them build their own. It's a women's support network.
It sounds much freer than before.
Yes, and many women even use their artistic works, the belief in Guanyin, into a tool to express their inner thoughts. Yes, this is not only let them be in this public space, to have a voice. At the same time, they have also reshaped their spiritual identity. This is actually a very important, a challenge to traditional gender roles, and also an important motivation for women, a very important motivation.
Talking about this, we will find that the women in the Ming and Qing dynasties, they actually found through the belief in Guanyin, they found their own expression and persistence. In fact, this courage and wisdom still inspire many people today to pursue their own independence and freedom.
Well, that's it for today. That's all for today's content. Then thank you for your company. See you next time. Bye.